Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a special treat for you. As part of our Halloween episode, we have unearthed a rare radio recording of Zone 4.
Now keep in mind, folks, we were transmitting out of some shack in the armpit of Sioux Falls, Idaho.
It was a radio station. Come on, don't exaggerate, John.
And we were paid in Ovaltine and Wheaties. Have you ever tried eating Ovaltine and Wheaties together? Not a good combination. And we worked with the lovely aroma of diesel fumes in the air.
But we did have a very short-lived radio show all those many years ago. And be warned, this episode contains some references that are probably a little bit dated, but as you'll hear in the Zone 4 exclusive, many of the things you love about the podcast are still there. For you old-time radio fans, we think you'll get a kick out of the way we were. We hope you enjoy this.
Keep your dial set here for news and music. Dial KISD. Sioux Falls. Dial KISD. Sioux Falls. Dial KISD. 1, 2, 3 on your dial.
Welcome to Zone 4, the radio station that brings you lively conversation about comics, moving talkie pictures, and pulp novels. This special Halloween episode is brought to you by Bacon, the lovely taste treat made from pig, and also Crazy Eddie's Airship Emporium. And now, it's time for our hosts to introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Brant Fowler.
I'm John Wilson.
I'm Gordon Demowski.
And hey, I am no longer a lieutenant. Fellow host, it's official. I've been promoted. I am now Captain Ron Fortier.
Woo!
Yay.
So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try something unique for this episode.
Provide quality entertainment?
Behave like human beings?
No, we're going to have commercials during rather than before the show. But for now, let's get to topic time.
Topic time! Yay!
This week sees the release of Detective Comics number 27 with what I personally think is a great breakout character.
Brant, have some respect. Slam Bradley's actually been part of that book since issue 1.
You know, I agree, John. I think Slam Bradley's one of the most underrated comic book heroes out there. He deserves our respect. I mean, come on. He's the cornerstone of that title.
You know, I'm going to do you guys one better simply because I can. I think, in my humble opinion, Slam Bradley should have his own darn comic.
No. I'm talking about Batman. He's a guy who dressed like a bat, and he fights criminals.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Well, yeah, of course. You're thinking of the Black Bat, Gordon. And having read Detective number 27, I have to say, this character isn't any good at all. I mean, come on. The Black Bat sees in the dark, for goodness sake. He fights criminals. I mean, in this two-fisted action style. This Batman wannabe just runs around like a flying rodent. Total rip-off, amigos.
And I don't think this Bat guy is going to last more than a few issues. If he's around in 75 years, if he's around in 75 months, I'll be honestly surprised. But I want to have a word with you, Captain. I wish to register a formal complaint about the 2 books you recommended last week.
Really? Okay, so what is it, John?
I read the Doc Savage novel you recommended, and it's pretty good. Nice, fast-paced action. That Johnny Sunlight is an evil guy. It's really crisp, tight novel writing done by Kenneth Robeson. You following me so far?
I do.
So, I'm now reading that Avenger novel you recommended, also written by Kenneth Robeson, and the text is completely different. More pared down, harder edged. Why, if I didn't know better, I would think it was written by 2 different guys. What are you trying to pull, Captain?
That's ridiculous, John. I mean, look, it's rather obvious, okay? Kenneth Robeson is the greatest pulp writer on the planet.
I hate to disagree with you, Captain Ron, especially since we argued about Jack Benny last week, but Robeson is a talentless hack compared to L. Ron Hubbard, who is a much, much better writer.
Oh, look, those are fighting words there, Warden.
We'll get back to this conversation later, but first, a word from our primary sponsor.
Are you listless and bored after a long day of reading comics? Find yourself playing with the knobs of your radio, hoping to find something of value. Do you like to run around in a toga and yell, "I'm a wacky dog catcher"? Well, then you need to eat more bacon. Yes, bacon. The meat product that puts a smile on your face, a tickle to your teeth, more pounds on your belly, and a few more pennies in your pocket. 4 out of 5 doctors agree. Bacon is better for you than smoking, drinking cyanide, having a sip of that cocaine-laced Coca-Cola they just came up with, or jumping out of a plane without a parachute. That 5th doctor, he's a quack and a commie. And you shouldn't listen to him. Listen to me. Remember, bacon is the perfect food. So buy more bacon today.
That didn't sound right, John.
It's a sponsor's copy, Brant. I read it verbatim. They pay us.
Okay, now for our next topic. Our review of All-Star Comics number 3, featuring the premiere of the Justice Society.
Hot dog. Hey, come on. This is the best comic book ever written, drawn, illustrated, and put on the market, guys. I mean, you get all these heroes together. Green Lantern, Flash, the Spectre, all in one comic. And let me tell you guys, the story is just awesome. I mean, they're all sitting around telling stories about their individual adventures. I think they even drink Ovaltine, and some of them ate oatmeal raisin cookies.
Yeah, but I think some of their choices and heroes are stretching it. I mean, the Spectre. Let's face it, he's just Casper, the unfriendly ghost in a green cape and hood. And that Atom guy, he's just a midget who beats people up.
Gordon, he's not a midget. Don't you go to the movies? I think they like to be called munchkins now. And that Atom guy, I think he's just short.
Picky, picky, picky. And speaking of bad choices, why the bleep did they put such a goofy mask on King Voltan from the Flash Gordon serials?
That's not Voltan. He's a hawk. He's Hawkman.
It's like I said, John, I can't believe you're not listening. It's Voltan, King of the Hawkmen.
Gordon, knock it off. They would not rip off Flash Gordon. It's Hawkman.
Voltan.
Hawkman.
Voltan.
A 1 and a 2 and a...
Let's call the whole thing off.
And at this point, folks, let's have a spot from another one of our sponsors. And keep in mind, every time you visit our sponsors, you're helping this radio show. Take it away, John.
Are you looking to expand your air travel? Do you enjoy filling a bag with hot gas? Well, then come down to Crazy Eddie's Airship Emporium. That's right, we have low prices on airships for you to enjoy leisurely air travel. And why wouldn't you? And why are our prices so low? Because we have no idea to price things. It's brand new technology. Oh, sure, you could save your pennies and buy dirt for gardening, but who cares about vegetables? Students, teachers, even small dogs want to fly airships. And we make buying an airship as easy as breaking a window with your face. So, come on down to Crazy Eddie's Airship Emporium. You can go anywhere to buy your airship, but why would you want to? We're right on the corner of every city, in every country, in every place you ever thought of. So, please come down to Crazy Eddie's Airship Emporium today.
All right, hey, look, I hate to digress, but really, I've got to state, the truth here, okay? I've purchased airships from Crazy Eddie's Emporium 26 times, and they provide a really poor product. I mean, the last airship I bought from them was made out of, you ready for this, guys? Grocery bags.
But we're on. They're supporting our show.
Brant, that final airship developed a really bad leak. And if we hadn't had a batch of A&P green stamps on boards, I dread thinking what would have happened. Thanks to Creddy Eddie, I even lost out on my chance now to get a new coffee pot.
So tell us, Captain Ron, what exactly happened next?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we in radio call a setup.
Well, I bought a new airship, number 27 airship from Woolworths.
And how does it fly?
Magnificently, and quite honestly, most of Crazy Eddie's airships are...
Well, I didn't expect that to happen.
And now, it's time for Listener Mail. Our first letter comes from little Frankie Rayner in Ohio, who asks Gordon...
Brant, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just tuning into another station here, and I just heard this over my headphones. The Martians are invading New Jersey.
I've been to New Jersey, and this is news because...
John, the Martians are invading. We now know there is life on another planet.
At this point, Ron, I have to agree with John. Because they're only invading New Jersey. I mean, who cares about New Jersey? I mean, they may as well invade Missouri. I mean, both states are pretty much easy pickings at this point, especially Missouri.
Well, let's switch over to the broadcast and give a listen.
We're here near the Martian capsule, and they're blasting people everywhere. I asked my companion if he's pondering what I'm pondering, and now he's ash.
Wow, that sounds overly dramatic.
Oh, in other words, it sounds simply like a typical Saturday night beach party in Jersey.
But what are we going to do?
What station is that on?
Let me see. It's KNDY.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. That's the Mercury Theater on the Air's presentation of War of the Worlds.
Oh my God! You mean the Martians have taken over the radio station? Now they're transmitting propaganda?
Brant, switch us over.
Yes, please, because right now I'm really starting to think that I should surrender you three guys to the Martians.
Okay, here goes.
We want to thank all of you for listening to our little Halloween prank tonight and dedicate it to those miscreants who host the Zone 4 radio show out of Nowheresville, Iowa, or whatever.
He doesn't even know geography.
And a special note to that John Wilson, who seems more than willing to bloviate his misanthropic, overstated opinions, and who would find an easy excuse to mention John Wilson of Zone 4, John Wilson of Comic Related, and John Wilson of many other places within casual conversations.
Bloviate? Is that even a word?
Brant, I really hope the censors don't think so, because to me it sounds a little off color.
And now, here's what we have coming out, and going on. Captain, if you please.
Well, okay, I've got a new short story. It's going to be appearing in the backup of this month's new Spider novel, the title of which is Volunteer Corpse Brigade.
Can you say the word corpse?
Volunteer Corpse Brigade? It sounds like a really cool name for a death metal band.
Gordon, death metal hasn't been invented yet.
Oh, but when it is, Ron, oh my God, what an awesome title.
Okay. John.
I got nothing.
Gordon?
I got nothing.
Well, that's been the Zone 4 Radio Hour, brought to you by Bacon and Crazy Eddie's Airship Emporium. And now John will read us out.
You've been listening to the Zone 4 Radio Hour. What you have heard, just heard, mind you, is highly classified. Every week, you should pay attention and listen at all times. And remember, Hitler rides in the jump seat.
Hitler rides in the jump seat? John, have you been smoking coffee grounds and banana peels again? Because that makes no sense whatsoever.
Blame Brant. He wrote it.
Hey, now, I copied off of a propaganda poster.
Brant, look, wouldn't it be better if we had all this stuff at the beginning of our shows?
I guess, fine. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye! Goodbye, Orphan Annie and Sandy.
Goodbye, Dick Tracy.
Where's my decoder? All right, so welcome back to the Zone. We hope you enjoyed our Halloween skit this year, and thanks to Gordon for writing that up.
Yay, Gordon!
Yay!
So before we get into the show, we should mention that we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us each and every week on comicspodcasts.com. So, it is Halloween, so happy Halloween, everybody. Hope everybody's having a fun and safe Halloween and not, overeating on a bunch of candy like probably we are. But
Happy Halloween. Check for
Hey, right. And if any of your candy looks suspicious, give it to your kid brother.
That's such bad advice.
And there's this prank going around that I want to warn people about.
Okay.
Which is that, there are some people who are taking those old pink erasers and putting them in candy bar wrappers. So if your candy bar wrapper in your trick-or-treat bag, there's like Scotch tape at the end, it's not chocolate.
Okay. Yeah, don't try to eat the erasers. Be smarter.
And don't feed chocolate to your dog, because it's just mean.
That's true. Wow, this got really dark. Okay.
Yeah, it went from...
welcome to Uncle Creepy's Halloween show. All right.
Welcome to Uncle Sick and Disgusting's Halloween Emporium.
There you go. We have a lot of emporiums tonight. Oh, shoot. All right.
Anybody can be a store, but it takes someone special.
Here.
What?
That's okay. We had two different bits going at once. You go ahead, Gordon, or Ron, and then I'll do mine.
No, go ahead.
You can't stop laughing.
I wanted to laugh all during the radio skit, so I'm playing catch up now.
What the hell was that? Oh, I was going to say anybody can be a store, but it takes someone special to be an emporium.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh.
It wasn't worth the wait, obviously, but.
Thank God we weren't around during the radio days. We'd have killed radio.
That's what I'm saying. Got kicked off every station on the dial.
Killed the radio show.
That was funny. I kept thinking about a Christmas Story all through that. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, there's that nostalgic feel about it. Yeah. And look, guys, okay, honestly, of all four of us, all right, I am the guy who can actually remember when the only entertainment in the house was that old stand-up radio in the corner in the living room. And though my memories are really vague about it that much, we didn't get a television until I was maybe 9 or 10. So, I listened to old-time radio programs and puts a big smile on my face. That was really the way people, got their music, got their news, got their melodramas, even soap operas, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Very much the theater of the imagination.
So in
How
other
did
words,
you take a selfie like that?
Yeah. Right. So in other words, listeners, Ron's really old. No,
yeah.
Sorry.
About to get older this coming week.
Yeah.
When next week we join to do another show, I will be a year older. Woohoo!
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a birthday celebration.
There you go.
We'll have to do a special skit of things that are older than Ron.
Which will be a very short list.
That's a very short skit, but a special one.
Here we go.
Trees are older than Ron.
I remember when we did when I did the first of Champion City Con, and Frank Rayner called me up. Frank Rayner called me up to talk about my early days in comics with Methuselah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, we used to do our comics, we used to chisel them on stone.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Noah brought the first comic over on the Mayflower.
That's where the hieroglyphics came from, Ron.
That's right. Did you know that hieroglyphics are actually just a comic strip about a guy named Sphinxy? That's an old joke. Ron should know that one.
That's one thing. That's another thing that's older than Ron. Many of the jokes that
joke. Hey, you wrote the skit, pal.
All right.
Careful where you cast that stone. It has a boomerang effect.
It's true.
Okay, so do we actually have an agenda?
No, we actually do. We're going to talk about some stuff, believe it or not.
Yeah, but we're avoiding
our wheels here.
We're avoiding the agenda. Can't you, Callum?
We always avoid the agenda because that's just the way it is. But no, there's actually some interesting stuff on here, so we should jump into some headlines.
We're bloviating. Leave us alone.
Yeah, bloviate.
Is it bloviate or bloviate?
It's bloviate.
Don't ask me. Ask Orson.
I mean, he was a villain. He was a villain in the James Bond movies.
That's right. He's the one with the sharp hat, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the word is bloviate, and it basically means to pump forth hot air. So fill in your own joke, folks.
All right.
Man, we bloviate all the time here on Zone 4.
Zone 4 is a high-class establishment. No fart jokes, please.
That's not what I'm
It's not an airship emporium.
All right. So anyway, headlines. First up is something that broke this week, and I'm actually writing an article for Comic Related just to get a little plug out there that it is coming. It's a very long article talking about each and every one of these. But Marvel, following up DC's lead here, Marvel announced their full slate of films through 2019. And a lot of these we kind of knew were coming. Some of them, at least one, maybe two, were a surprise to me. So let's talk about these.
Well, hey, after rumors galore, and I would say the majority of comic and Marvel fans out there, we finally got the official word. There is going to be a Black Panther movie. Hallelujah!
Yeah, that is awesome. That's been a long time coming.
What's his name? Chadwick Boseman. Do I have that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Very, very good actor, veteran actor. Has been in many, many things, both on television and Hollywood. Great choice. And a bunch of other things that they were talking about. The possibility of a Captain Marvel and God, I forget the other half of them. To be honest with you, a two-part Civil War. Yeah,
let me read off the list actually.
Go for it.
All right. I just had it. There we go. All right, we have Captain America: Civil War. That's in May 6th of 2016. We've got Doctor Strange on November 4th of 2016. We've got Avengers: Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. That's in May of 2018 and 2019. Black Panther, which we already mentioned, which I believe is in 2018. No, it's 2017, I think. I don't know. I lost the date on that one. I'll come back to that. Captain Marvel, July 6th of 2018. That is Carol Danvers. And Inhumans on November 2nd of 2018. We have Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which has been moved up from July to May of 2017. And I think that was all of them. Oh, Thor Ragnarok, which was also in 20... And I had my whole list. Where did it go? I lost my list. Here we go. Thor Ragnarok is on July 28th, 2017. Black Panther is on November 3rd, 2017. So, there we go.
Yeah, and there was, there have been all kinds of circulating, I don't know what you want to call it, orbiting rumors to go with this. They've been, slowly disseminating more and more tidbits. The one I think I found the most intriguing after the news of both Doctor Strange officially and Black Panther was the fact that the Avengers lineup is going to change.
I did not see that news.
Oh, elaborate. Yes.
Yeah, I knew there was something leaked that got pulled down.
Kevin Feige specifically said that by Avengers 3, some of the Avengers who were in 1 and 2 will not be returning.
Ah, okay.
So the lineup will change.
Gonna get Captain Cookie Quartet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are going to have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. So.
Right, exactly.
Hawk's already there.
Hawkeye's
So.
there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to predict that Thor won't be because with Ragnarok, which is the mythical war of the gods and where the gods kind of go away,
Yeah.
I could see that could be like okay, we're closing this off. Crims Hemsworth, here's your check. Bye-bye.
That's possible.
Yep, it is.
I mean, anything's possible. One thing I thought was interesting was, we kind of speculated about the whole Civil War thing. How are they going to pull it off? How are they going to do this and stuff? But it seems like it's going to be completely contained within that one film.
Yes.
So I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, obviously it's going to be watered down.
I think we all agreed it's going to be thematically Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way they can do the entire comic book series. So it's possible.
Yeah, I could see now it being like maybe Captain America, Falcon, Black Widow, and stuff fighting against this registration thing if they go that route, fighting somehow against the government.
And interestingly, and I haven't checked out the clip. I've only seen the headline, but a clip was leaked of Thor and Captain America, Iron Man and Captain America having kind of a tense conversation about something that people have said, oh, wait, that's the beginning of the Civil War. Mm-hmm. Of course, what it really should be is some overeager jerk who can't let people find things out for themselves leak this out and said, hey, look, this is the big clue, ha-ha. So.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen it?
No, I have not.
I haven't seen that particular one.
Well, it was taken in the theater where Kevin Feige was talking, and it's of the they ran the clip on the screen.
Yeah.
Somebody pirated it on their cell phone or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Anyways, the sequence, and I'm just throwing this in because it got an ooh from the audience, but the way the scene is played out, Cap and both Tony Stark are in their civvies. And they're on this farm or whatever, and Cap's out chopping wood. And Tony comes over and starts talking to him, and that's when they're having this little philosophical debate, all right, about superheroes and their role and, who runs in the government, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously, they're on different sides. So as they go back and forth with their own little, retorts, there's a point where all the while this is happening, Cap is like, slapping the axe down on these big pieces of timber and splitting them. Mm-hmm. So as it gets close to the end of the conversation, he picks up one of the pieces and turns around, looks at Tony, and literally just grabs it with his fingers and splits it without the axe. And the audience goes, ooh! It's a neat moment. He just goes, and that piece of timber just splits right down the middle. And, oops, okay. Don't get mad, Cap. Don't get mad.
Well, I'm curious about Ragnarok. Now, I know there was the story arc Ragnarok, which I didn't read it. Then there was the character Ragnarok.
Right.
So.
With the story, they leading into the kind of J. Michael Straczynski reboot sort of kind of wiped everybody out.
Right.
Except for Thor, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, with the reboot, he was able to bring them back because they were, more or less stored or downloaded or whatever into human beings.
Right.
So he was able to essentially free them from human beings. If they're going to go a route, I hope they go that route. I really hope they don't go the stupid, a bunch of human scientists cloned Thor and made a chlor out of him.
That's the interesting thing, because that particular story came out of Civil War. So
yeah, exactly. And honestly, the way if it's just going to be self-contained within that one movie, sounds much less than a war, as much as just kind of a civil disturbance or civil disagreement or whatever.
Speaking of which, somebody heard Jay from Frontline heard us talking about that, and I think you or somebody called it the civil skirmish or something like that.
Yeah.
Loved that, and he said he was going to steal it.
Oh, nice. But yeah, the one thing, I mean, other than Benedict Cumberbatch being Doctor Strange, now, spoilers if you hadn't heard that. Well, no spoilers. Get your head out from under a rock.
John, I've been trying to follow that and trace it back. Is it totally official?
No, it's not been confirmed by the studio. It's just he's in negotiations. It's pretty much a done deal, but the studio has not said yes, he's playing the role.
Well,
right, I wish they wouldn't do that because personally, I love the guy. I think he's a great actor, and I'm excited by him doing the role. Yeah. But negotiations are just that. And as an old baseball fan, I've seen a lot of negotiations fall apart in the 11th hour.
Yeah, true.
And boy, wouldn't fans be upset if, nope, didn't work out, he's gone.
Yeah, because I think he'd be perfect for it.
So do I.
I do as well. My only concern is that that they allow him to bury himself in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Rather than go, ooh, look, it's Benedict Cumberbatch in a Doctor Strange outfit.
Right.
They really allow him to bury himself in it. And I was really hoping Black Panther would go to, nothing against the guy who's getting it, kudos and all that, but I was really hoping it would go to someone like Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been good at it.
I would have liked to have seen Diamond Hanju do it.
Or, even going way back to, if they'll spring him from jail long enough. Wesley Snipes. I could see that if he could pull off a more kind of regal demeanor. Because you kind of need someone with that regal demeanor.
Right. Gordon's going to tell you, he is out. He was in Expendables.
Oh, is he out now?
He was in Expendables 3.
Well, that's not out. That's
well, no, just to let you guys know. Obviously, if you didn't see the film, they played off that because the first 10-minute action prelude of the film is them busting him out of some foreign country prison.
Yeah.
Nice.
Honestly,
known as IRS land.
Yeah. Honestly, that sounds more like a work release program than being out. Yeah, we'll commute your time, but you got to go be in a couple of Expendables movies. No, I'd rather stay in jail.
Oh, I like the movies. So what do you guys think about Avengers Infinity War split between two movies? Kind of taking a lead from DC with the Justice League movies.
Unsurprised.
Okay, you guys are much more up on a lot of these series than I am. So Infinity War, do you see where this is going to probably bring in the whole Galactic thing and have cosmic heroes and maybe even Guardians popping up in this? And my thought being, if that's the case, if it's the Avengers in outer space, conceivably I can understand why they make it two movies.
Okay. So, obviously, part one is going to be Avengers 3. So, you said that the cast, or, the team members are going to change by 4, right? Or by 3?
Oh, by 3.
By 3, okay.
Right. Age of Ultron, coming out next May, will be the only Avengers movie with the regular cast that we all saw in Avengers 1.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
But the point Kevin Feige made was, and when he released this list, part of his speech was the fact that one of the things that they always take into consideration is that you have the individual movies and they fall into the space and times between the team movies. He said the thing is in making it a cohesive narrative and universe, the events in the team movies have to be spectacular, have to be huge, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But he said they also have to have some kind of life-altering change to the individual actors.
Right.
And that's why after Age of Ultron, we're going to see some of these actors go off on different parts of their life's journey that won't necessarily bring them back to Avengers 3.
Right.
Okay, but that's what he was saying. He's saying Thor will have been changed to a great deal. Part of Thor's personality and his views on life and Asgard and everything else will be affected by Age of Ultron, which is going to be what leads to Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I think also playing into this, obviously we heard for a long time Chris Evans is taking some time off acting.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much been confirmed that somebody else, namely the Winter Soldier, is going to become Captain America for a while.
Well, I have a thought about that. If they're doing Infinity War, if it's going to be cosmic, people like Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow, are pretty much, even to a more or less extent, Hulk, are pretty much useless in a space situation.
Right.
Yeah. I was thinking
other than shoehorning them in there or, making it some specific, Rick Jones is the only way to defeat the Kree sort of storyline, they're kind of useless in space.
Yeah.
And if they're going to come, which I think they will, I think the second half is going to be a big Avengers Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yep,
I could see that. And I could also see, because both Captain Marvel and Inhumans come out in between the two Avengers movies.
Right.
I could see their involvement in all this as well.
So you're going to get Carol into the Avengers at that point.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and then you're going to, maybe they'll Shanghai Crystal, or, they could even do it with Crystal having to go deal with Ronan, who, isn't really dead. And venture into that whole storyline.
Yeah.
Or
go ahead.
Or there might be even a simpler thing, which is, remember the post-credit sequence of the first Avengers where Thanos is told that attacking Earth is like courting death?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I could see if they decided that maybe one movie is Earthbound.
Yeah.
And the other is Spacebound.
That would make
then
sense.
You can do,
that would make sense.
Then you could do, okay, you've got the Earthbound threat. They've got to go into space. And that leads into the second movie where you can do Guardians of the Galaxy and all this other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, also, if you remember, and courting death just made me think of this. If you remember the time when Thanos killed a quarter of the life in the universe, if you remember that storyline where he was trying to win death over to him, Captain America actually played a fairly significant role in that particular thing. So they could also go that way.
Yeah.
And it could be, you have your Earthbound heroes dealing with probably Thanos' minions on Earth, the Chitauri or somebody else at that time. And then, as Gordon was saying, you could have the more cosmically based heroes dealing with that up there. I could even potentially see, if they are going to introduce the Guardians, to have Star-Lord, maybe Rocket and Groot be part of the Earthbound movie.
Yeah, there could be a whole, coming home kind of thing for Star-Lord.
Right. And then you would have, you'd have more Gamora and Drax, dealing with the more cosmic things. I'm just kind of spitballing storyline. But yeah.
Or they could flip it, because there was a storyline, in fact, I think it was the Annihilation storyline, where Ultron is disembodied, he's out into space, he finds a race, says, hey, these are guys who'll do what I do, and they attack all the other cosmic races. So I could see if the setup is something Guardians of the Galaxy-ish. And this is assuming that, we may have a Captain Marvel actually in space. So it may start cosmic, but then part 2 is bringing it down to Earth.
Right. I think we're all agreed it's going to be, that's how they're going to split it.
Yeah.
They're going to have an Earth focus in the battle, and then they're going to have the outer space battles.
So, speaking of these movies, real quick, just to start to wrap it up, I'm personally really excited about the Captain Marvel and the Inhumans ones. I love Carol Danvers as a character, and it's going to be a strong female lead movie from Marvel, and I think that's really cool. And Inhumans, I just keep thinking visually what they can do with like Black Bolt and Medusa. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, they're great characters. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And yeah, it boggles the mind. I mean, like we're talking about. Fingers crossed, Cumberbatch comes through, and they officially announced it. I've seen him in other things other than just the Sherlock series, and he really is a good actor. And allowing him to immerse himself, all right, as something, as a different role, I think he could give us a really unique and special kind of Doctor Strange. Again, and I'm going back to Black Panther, long overdue. I want to see it, and hopefully, they can have some fun with Wakanda and all that background, that history, and everything else. So, as a comic book fanboy, this was great news. And knowing Marvel's track record of the last 10 years, I felt a lot more grounded reading this list than I did DC's last week.
I was going to touch on that. It seems like we're a lot more excited about these than we were about those.
Well, because, I think with these they're actually established enough that we can see the potential.
Mm-hmm.
DC has, as much as I hate to say it, DC has yet to establish anything decent beyond a Batman movie since the 70s.
Yep.
So, DC is really still at that point where they need to prove themselves, as far as being a viable, movie house for superhero things. Now, they've absolutely taken over television and animation.
Yeah, and we'll get
into
that even more later.
Yeah, they live there. They own that hands down. But to play out in the big field, they haven't proved that they can swing for the fence yet.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how Batman v Superman does.
Hopefully, well,
hopefully.
And honestly, I think it would be in DC's best interest to just forget that Marvel exists, stop trying to make it a pissing contest, and just go make good movies.
Yeah,
and if if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you do it on your merits or lack thereof, rather than trying to play follow the leader with Marvel.
Yeah. So, there we go. All right, let's move on. Real quick, we don't have to talk about this at length. I just wanted to mention this. I found a link showing a letterer's perspective on the Marvel movie logos. And as a letterer, and a logo designer, it was interesting to me, them dissecting the logos of the films, how they used to be their own thing, and as time goes on, they're kind of morphing to where they more closely represent the titles of the comics.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
But it's kind of sad, actually. It at least to me, it kind of shows a lack of creativity, a lack of trying to brand. Yeah, it kind of shows a lack of trying to brand the movies as their own thing. I mean, yeah, you're obviously fishing from comics for your stories. But it's not to say that you have to, make it so obvious that that's your thing. That that's where you're coming from. I much prefer, if they try to be a little more of their own thing, a little more based of their own thing. I'm never one of those people that has to go, well, this has to be exactly like the comic, or I'm going to walk out the door.
But, but I think it's a nice tribute to the source material, especially like when you see an Avengers logo, I expect to see that classic arrow in the A kind of thing. I don't know. To me,
I gotta ask you guys, because this particular topic makes me chuckle a little bit about an episode. Are you guys familiar with the comedy show The Middle?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it, but I know of it.
Yeah, same here.
Okay,
Same here. Never seen it.
Okay, well, I mean, it's your wacky, dysfunctional, family living out in the Midwest, and the youngest kid, whose name is Brick, all right, has these antisocial traits, but he's an avid reader, okay, and loves books. That's his thing, okay. So last week's episode, his mother comes by and he's in the living room and he's got his laptop and he's talking to the mic, and so his mom goes, "Brick, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm starting my own podcast." And she goes, "Really?" She goes, "What's it about?" He says, "Fonts." This is where every week I'll talk about fonts and their importance and their significance and their. And Brant, I was thinking of you all the time watching this.
Well, if I may interject, I actually agree with you, because I think it's easy to say, why didn't they do something more creative than just copy the comics? But I think if you're looking to brand the movies as their own thing, when you're a company, you want to be sure that there's a consistency between all of your products. And I think the fact that, Marvel, and I've said this before, Marvel's treating its movies like it's its own comic line. You've got regular Marvel, you've got the Ultimates. I mean, Marvel refers to it as a cinematic universe. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that DC has always tended to avoid. It's, when you look at their slate, it's pretty much, we're just going to put, these are the characters that we have, that we want to put out there, versus, there are people who are thinking, very few people I think would say, hey, we want a Captain Marvel movie. Not saying she's a bad character, it's just not one you would naturally think, hey, they deserve a movie. So I think, and I've talked to hardcore DC fanboys who, in their smug, self-satisfied way, go, "Oh, DC always takes risks." Marvel really knows how to roll the dice, whereas I think DC, they're, DC I think tends to play it relatively safe. So it goes back to Brant. I do agree with you. I like the logos, and quite frankly, of course, they're going to make them like the comics, because the movies are an extension of what Marvel's doing. So, just putting that out there.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So, moving on, unless anybody has anything else to add about that, which I'm guessing not. All right. You mentioned the Ultimate Universe, so we might as well jump into that one. We got another teaser. We talked about these teasers a little bit last week, and I think a week before as well. But we got one, Ultimate Universe, The End, issue 1, which could still tie into this whole Secret Wars thing, because we're getting all these different teasers, and it looks like they're bouncing around in time and this and that. But at the same time, right now there are only 2 titles from the Ultimate Universe, and only one of them is good.
And, don't hold back, Rand. Say what you mean.
Well, it's true. But they could actually do that, because, there's been rumors and talk of bringing Miles Morales over to the main, Marvel Universe, the 616, for a long time. And he's really the only standout character there. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's actually ending, or do you think it's part of this whole event thing?
Well, as you said yourself, there's only 2 books left.
Yeah.
And only one is good.
Right.
And I've never been a fan of the Ultimate Universe for the sheer fact that they ended right back up where the regular universe did, more or less.
Yeah.
It's always, the Ultimate Universe to me has always kind of been a cop-out. It's like we're going to take these iconic characters back to the beginning. It's like, well, why can't you do that in the regular universe in some sort of storyline, time travel, flashback, whatever. And then the way the Ultimate Universe progressed, everybody got pretty much to where they got back in the regular universe within a few years. There wasn't that big a deviation. So to me, the Ultimate Universe has kind of been a failed experiment anyway. Now, the sad fact is that Marvel, for some inexplicable reason, hitched its cinematic wagon to the Ultimate Universe.
I think it's
in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, not completely, but in a lot of ways.
I think it's a mix mash of.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's definitely a mix mash of that. I mean, you don't have the Hulk eating the wasp or anything, But in some ways, FF definitely, I would say, was much more like that. X-Men a little bit here and there. I would say the second batch of Spider-Man films seemed to me to be a lot more Ultimate Universe than the first batch. The first batch to me felt like regular Marvel Universe.
Yeah,
the Tobey Maguire ones, I mean.
They definitely took cues in, all the movies from the Ultimate Universe, but I think they took it from both. I kind of agree and disagree with you on the whole Ultimate Universe thing, not to get into a whole tangent, but I agree that, yes, it got convoluted as the main Marvel line, much faster than the Marvel line did. I mean, they covered everything from the Clone Saga to this and that and so on and so forth. But I think originally it was a good idea because it reintroduced all these characters, de-aged them for a new audience. But the problem always was they eventually will get to that point where they are convoluted and they have covered all this stuff. And then what do you do? And I think they've faced that. They've tried to end this. They've relaunched the Ultimate Universe like 3 times already. So, I mean, I think it's at that point. So I think it might actually end this time.
Yeah, you finally got to get to a point. If the car is broken, you eventually got to, get a new car. Mm-hmm. You can't just keep trying to fix the same car over and over again and expect it to run forever.
Right. But they've continued, veering off from that, they've continued to release these teasers. And they keep teasing, all these things coming out in summer 2015. The latest one today was Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, summer 2015. And it has a picture of him with Mary Jane and what we assume is Mayday Parker on his shoulders, the Spider-Girl. So, I don't know. I think they're still going to be jumping through all these events throughout the time for this whole Secret Wars event thing that's going on. That's me.
Well, it does kind of justify bringing up all the old names again, I guess, if it's happening over in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, I don't think it's all happening in the Ultimate Universe, though. I think they might be going interdimensional because it looks like they've touched, they're bringing Marvel Zombies and Age of Ultron into it, which are definitely alternate timelines. They bring in, There was an Age of Apocalypse one. So, yeah.
So they really are doing every story just in a condensed form.
Yeah, running through the list here, there's Age of Apocalypse, the Age of Ultron, Marvel Zombies, the Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, Armor Wars, Civil War, Future Imperfect, House of M, Infinity Gauntlet, Inhumans, Adeline Rising, Old Man Logan, Planet Hulk, Ultimate Universe, The End, and Years of Future Past.
Wow.
Yeah. Ron, Gordon, anything?
I got nothing.
I was waiting for somebody to say that.
I think they've, I think right now, because it sounds like Marvel's moving towards a big Crisis on Infinite Earth style event, I think they may as well just get rid of the Ultimate Universe. It did what it was supposed to do. The fact is, the movie, the mainstream Marvel Universe has actually integrated a lot of the ideas and concepts from the Marvel, from the Ultimate Universe. Let's just, Stick a fork in it, turn it over, it's done.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah, what was the name of that other universe that they blew up? I forgot. The new universe?
Yeah, the new universe.
Yeah.
Which is now the old universe. What the hell? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But one of those characters is actually in one of the Avengers titles, believe it or not, Starbrand.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, at least they had enough sense to not bring the kickers back.
Yeah. All right. So
that's in the Marvel Phase 4 movies.
Oh, there,
Yeah.
Kickers
of course.
Incorporated.
The
All right.
Marvel Spasmatic Universe.
Moving on to some DC stuff. We mentioned DC TV. A couple of things over in the Superman corner of a DC. Supergirl TV show, which we, had that news a couple of weeks ago, was released there, developing a TV show on CBS. They have started casting roles, and the way this reads is that Kara, who is going to be, called, what's her last name?
Zor-El.
Well, Danvers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carol Danvers.
Kara Zor-El is Kara Danvers.
Limit.
Yeah, I
Linda
know.
is what
Right.
it's supposed to be, but whatever.
Exactly. They're mixing them. So Kara Danvers, she came to Earth at the age of 12 and was raised by the Danvers. So it's basically a Superman type story, only she was a little bit older when they found her. And she's going to have a stepsister, and they're casting both of these roles. So that's the take they're going. Her stepsister's name is Alexandra. So
Why does Kara get to fly all the time and I don't?
that's pretty much it. Yeah. But Alexandra is working for a secret government organization.
Of course she is.
So yeah, they're gonna face each other. I don't know about this show.
At least they didn't make her a witch.
Yeah, I'm just really worried about this show. I don't know.
Well,
keep in
Yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
Go
I
ahead.
was about to say, keep in mind two things. The first is it's brought to you by the same people who brought you Arrow and Flash.
True.
So you at least know that there's going to be some competent writing.
Mhm.
I'm wondering how much of this is going to be. I don't know how hands-on CBS is with their shows, because I know this isn't a WB show. I think CW passed on this. So I'm wondering how hands-on CBS is, and if they're injecting some, they're saying, hey, make the sister a top secret government agent, and, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, is CW a CBS channel?
No.
They're not affiliated at all? Okay.
No.
They're
CW.
two separate networks.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, CW would be Warner Brothers, who would be. I don't think they're anybody else, because NBC is NBC, ABC is Disney, CBS is GE. Last I heard.
Yeah, and CW is more. CBS has dedicated affiliates, so there are permanent. So that in various markets, it works kind of differently, but CW, not every area carries CW. Most areas carry CBS.
Actually, I have to disagree with you guys, because I just found the information. They are jointly...
on them?
Huh?
Was I mistaken on CBS? Are they owned by someone else now?
No, about CW. CW is a joint venture between CBS and UPN, which is a Time Warner subsidy. So I thought they were CBS affiliated.
Well, UPN's gone now.
Yeah,
so,
but that's where the CW comes from. It comes from CBS and Warner Brothers.
Well, that makes sense. Which is kind of amusing when you think about it, because CBS has long been kind of the old people network.
And CW is the young people network.
And CW is the young people
network.
Now, see, it sort of makes sense that they would have to put a government agency on that, because every other show on CBS is a government agency.
That's true.
show. NC whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, John, to clarify, actually CBS, almost all the shows are procedurals. So I think Supergirl is going to be less about flying, more about her like testing DNA and stuff.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. I forget what thing did it, but it was some comedy thing that every time, there was supposed to be a strong, independent woman on the thing, it had its own kind of jingle. And you were talking about, Carol Danvers being strong, independent woman. And that was just popping in my head. It's like strong, independent woman,
Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
No, it's on one of the movie things that did it. So every time, the strong, independent woman character.
Oh, okay.
Which seems like that's what they're trying to tout for Supergirl.
Yeah, it does.
It's those three words go together, strong, independent woman. Yeah. It's kind of a catchphrase.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it definitely seems like they're trying to base it in that kind of,
right.
She's angsty, but she's tough, and her sister's like brilliant and gorgeous and science-minded, and if you look at all the kind of adjectives they piled onto all the descriptions,
mm-hmm.
It's like the sister's nerdy, but she's pretty.
Yeah.
It's kind of that thing with Felicity, the way they're playing Felicity so well that, Felicity is gorgeous, but she's like nerdy.
Right.
Which makes her, I guess, accessible to, the masses or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like Iris put it on the Flash.
Yeah, exactly. Although
the rare breed of adorable nerds.
Yeah, exactly. And and by that token, Iris kind of is less accessible
mm-hmm.
because she's pretty, but she's not nerdy and she's not accessible. I mean, but they're trying to make her accessible because now she's got a blog. Rather than being they're actually trying to make her into Wally West's girlfriend / wife / whatever. But yeah,
they have cast her, by the way.
Oh, they have cast Linda
Park.
Linda Park.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, that's right. She was in the background shot, wasn't she?
Yeah. Well, they cast somebody else. She's going to be younger. She was on Vampire Diaries first season. I can't remember her first name.
I have no clue of Vampire Diary, but yeah.
Well, when you tell Kim about it, tell her it was the girl that that got killed and was a ghost and was dating Jeremy.
Oh, okay. She'll know
who it is. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Superman-related TV, there is this is. I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but because it came from Bleeding Cool originally, so take it for what it's worth. But there's word going around that David S. Goyer, who wrote Man of Steel.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, he.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
He's supposedly attached to another TV show titled Krypton, which apparently takes place pre-Superman on the planet of Krypton.
All right.
The Adventures of Jor-El when he was a boy.
Yeah. Okay.
AKA the show where each episode ends without Krypton blowing up.
Yeah, exactly. The most interesting thing about Krypton is...
Yeah, there's an earthquake at the end of every episode, but it doesn't blow up.
Yeah,
this will not fly. Okay, you heard it here first.
Nobody will.
Nobody will. That's the problem. Nobody's got powers on Krypton.
No, if they do it like Man of Steel, like with the flying dragons and the people in the big hats being like rah rah rah, and the military being like rah rah rah, the science guys being stay away, behave, then it might be okay.
But who's going to give them that kind of budget for a TV show? No, they're not. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to happen, and it goes no place.
Yeah.
That's the real bugaboo with this. I mean, they don't think these things out. I mean, sincerely, or basically think that the TV viewing audience is mindless or clueless or hasn't been around, or seen anything that's happened in culture and in comics or whatever. Krypton blows up. You guys have said it. Written in a nutshell. Its importance is that it blows up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no way you can make a TV show where anybody on the planet doesn't know that, and you're gonna invest time in watching this just so that the final episode, after 20 years of Krypton, the last episode, it blows up.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. it drives me bananas. There was a show on last season, and my wife got invested in it. But it was one of those shows where I absolutely, when they came up with it, and oh god, what was it? It starred the co-star now on the new series, Stalker, but it was basically.
Are you talking Hostage?
Yeah. All right. I mean, the whole premise was basically this woman was a doctor. The president was going to undergo surgery. So the premise was they kidnap her family so that she lets the president die in surgery. And I went, and that's an ongoing series? How long is that operation supposed to take?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And and of course it fell apart. It didn't last more than that one series. Again, who okayed this? I mean, come on, all right? It just.
Yeah. But to be fair, Ron, this was published by Bleeding Cool, and Bleeding Cool does for BS what Stonehenge does for rocks.
There you go.
Makes it pretty and nice to look at. Yeah. But you know what they're going to do is this is going to be a procedural, and the House of L are going to be the cops in this procedural. And they're going to bring hope to Krypton every week because the S stands for hope.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yes.
Well, no, here's what's going to happen, John. In this show, Jor-El and Zod are going to be partners, and they're going to fight corruption in Krypton City. And we'll see like Phantom Zone criminals, like before they were criminals. So instead of like Ursa being this crazy terrorist, she'll get ticketed for jaywalking.
Yeah.
Right.
But
actually, let me add to that before you do, Brent. Let me add to that. It's going to be Argo City.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's got to be Argo City. They're going to be Argo City, and Zod and Jor-El aren't quite going to get along.
See, you took it.
See, exactly.
Yeah, Zod's going to be a little bit of a cop on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zod's gonna be the bad boy, and Jor-El's gonna try to be the good guy in a tough situation, and try to play it by the book, and Brainiac's gonna show up, and he's not gonna try to steal the city right away. He's gonna try to win people over.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, he's a crooked politician.
That's right, and it's not until he falls in love with a solid state computer that he becomes Brainiac.
Right.
Yeah, that things go awry, and we also find out in this very antiseptic universe that Jor-El actually loves his wife, who they were in arranged marriage, but he actually loves and likes to fornicate with his wife against the prescribed antiseptic nature of this society.
Of course.
Oh.
And just a warning, if David S. Goyer is listening to this podcast, you can't use any of our ideas in your show.
No.
Because we can sue you.
Yes.
And we will sue you.
Yes.
And we will get you money.
If you want to make it good, use the ideas, but pay us first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Definitely pay us. Anyway.
Because otherwise the show's going to suck and die within 5 episodes.
Okay, now I've got to bring this up before we get into what might happen, might be, blah blah blah, as to what did happen last Friday. You guys watched the premiere of Constantine?
Yes.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you guys think?
Personally, I liked it.
I loved it. I live tweeted about it. I loved it.
What do you think, Gordon?
I actually, surprisingly, I enjoyed it. I'm not a big horror buff, and that I'm actually planning on writing on that and other DC shows for my November column. But I really liked it. It was the right amount of dark and creepy, and I think the actor who played Constantine nailed it. I just wished he could have cussed more.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan. Chuck Moore wrote a really great review on Comic Related this past week, which I read, and I advise anybody listening to go find it. It's really in depth and Hellraiser and Constantine are two of Chuck's favorite, themes and comics up there. So I remember reading Hellraiser, and I've always liked Constantine as a character. I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed the show a great deal, and I like Matt Ryan, the actor playing him. I'm tickled to death they got a British guy. I love the fact that he smokes cancer sticks all the time. Why the hell shouldn't he? Okay. Considering what he deals with.
Right.
All right. Cancer's like the least of his concerns. I want to see, but I do want to see more of that flippancy and that wiseacre, humor and wit that Chuck mentioned. Other than that, I think it was a solid opening episode, and I hope they play off with the supporting cast a little bit more as each episode continues. But it really surprised me, and the special effects were movie quality stuff. I was really taken by that.
Indeed, yeah. That's the only thing that gives me hope for messes like Krypton, is the fact that if they can do stuff like that on TV now, that's really incredible. And with Constantine, I really love that the inclusion of the Angel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As kind of that poking, antagonistic sort of thing.
Yeah, and it also explained why Harold Perrineau's character died on Z Nation the first episode.
Yeah.
Because he's got a much better gig.
Well, yeah, of course. Well, not just that, but, I really, really love what they did with Chaz, because that's not a normal, or at least back when I was reading Constantine, that's not a normal thing for Chaz.
Right.
So I do like the inclusion of survival skills. I'll leave it at that.
I do have to say, it's before we get fan mail, it's Hellblazer, not Hellraiser.
Yes, it is Hellblazer.
Yeah, Hellraiser's a completely different thing.
Hellraiser is owned by a totally different company.
Yes, right.
And they'll be upset.
These really close shaves,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I love that. I love the little Easter eggs, like the helmet of Fate and all that.
Oh
stuff.
man, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that is too wicked cool! Just absolutely awesome." Yep. Well done. Well done, CBS and DC. Enjoyed that a lot.
Indeed.
The only sad thing is the woman that was in the show is not in the show anymore.
No, she'll be there. She'll be back.
Well, if you saw the trailer for next week, they're going to replace her.
They're replacing her with somebody else.
Yeah. So it almost seems to me like there was some kind of conflict with the girl's, contract or whatever.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
She bowed out, and they're going to write a new character.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's planned. I think she'll be back because that's her uncle's place.
Ah.
It's his powers. It's his place. She needs to come to terms with this.
Yeah.
I mean, Constantine didn't come to terms with this in a day.
No.
It took him, kind of Messiah-like. It took him several years to come to terms with, all the stuff he was having to deal with in his own powers. So, afford the girl a few episodes to kind of come together.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it has a lot of potential. I mean, we could see characters like Madame Xanadu show up or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Zatanna, maybe.
Cool.
Now, I do hope they avoid, I don't want Swamp Thing to show up.
No, I wouldn't want
No,
that
that would
either.
be pushing it too far.
I don't think I won't even want, Blue Devil or
No,
like that.
any of those people.
No.
No capes, no tights, no flights.
It's called Constantine. Let's stick with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
This is definitely a place that no tights, no flights needs to apply.
Right. All right, so the last piece of news we have is, again, a rumor. We don't know. This hasn't been confirmed as far as I know. It was on Bleeding Cool again. But reports are saying that the first Wonder Woman movie will be set in the 1920s, with the sequel being during World War II.
Yeah, I know. Fascinating. I saw that myself
That'd
today.
be all right.
Yeah. That would work. That could work. I mean, look, hey, for ages prior to the first Joe Johnson Captain America, they all said, "Oh, you can't do a period piece. Oh, studio audience won't buy that." Well, guess what? They bought it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no
if it's
doubt.
done correctly, if they get a good storyline and a good director who understands the period, it could work extremely well.
Yeah.
Speaking of period pieces, not to derail the conversation, but I don't know if everybody saw the commercial for Agent Carter during Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yes.
I did not. I heard about it, but I
Dead,
must have fast
dead
forwarded
on.
through it.
I mean, just absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So, that alone is proof that not only can you do strong, independent woman in the 20s, but you can make it a full-on period piece with all the restrictions and everything else that implies, and still have her be tough and effective.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys... Oh, go ahead, Gordon.
I was about to say, if people can go see a crappy adaptation of The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio, they can go to see Wonder Woman in the 1920s.
There you go.
I don't know if you guys caught wind of this news, but speaking of Agent Carter, they cast Lindsay Fonseca, who was on Nikita, and John, she played the daughter of Ted in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's going to be cast. I mean, she has been cast as like an actress who befriends Agent Carter. So
nice.
Yeah, it kind of grounds that character with somebody. I don't know. It adds a cool element to it, and I love the actress. I think she's fantastic. So
yeah, it'll give that kind of thing where she'll have another woman to not only play off of, but that she'll kind of build her skills as an undercover person.
Right.
Because, what is undercover except, like acting to the nth degree,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think that was a fantastic way to go with that.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so we have the best of both worlds where we're having so much fun with, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this year. But when we get to the end, it won't be so, nobody's going to be crying in their beer because it's going to be, like, okay, bring on Agent Carter.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like,
it's like
Coulson, Agent Carter.
Yeah, it's like the main meal was delicious. Bring on the dessert.
Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly. Let's see. So is there anything else in the news that caught you guys' attention this week?
Well, there was one thing. I don't know if you guys discussed it last week, but what I thought was interesting was that AMC bought like almost a half interest in BBC America.
Oh, no, we didn't talk about that. I didn't know that, yeah.
Well, to kind of give a really super short summary, AMC has a 49.6% interest in BBC America. And the thinking is that possibly AMC will be doing, helping with budgeting and advertising BBC America's shows, because except for Doctor Who, most of BBC's programming tends to be like, it's word of mouth but very small. So like Orphan Black and other shows. Yeah. But a lot of AMC shows like Walking Dead and Mad Men have a little bit more of a mainstream buzz to them. And the other thinking is there might even be some programming. So it's like instead of tuning into BBC America during the day to watch multiple reruns of Star Trek The Next Generation, it'll be multiple reruns of Mad Men. So I think it'd be interesting to see like a Sunday evening double bill of Mad Men and Doctor Who. Or Walking Dead and Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, right. Listening, what you're saying, Gordon, I mean, the only things that we were watching on BBC America was Doctor Who and Orphan Black. And recently, I think it was last week, during the commercials for Doctor Who, though, and you probably saw this, and I was tickled pink about it because BBC is going to be rerunning Sherlock.
Yeah.
And the only time I could catch that was on public television here on Masterpiece Theater. And I missed several of those shows because of the nights they ran them or I forgot they were on or whatever. So knowing that BBC is going to be rerunning Sherlock from the beginning, I'm delighted to no end. I mean, I'd even sit down and watch those shows again,
Well, let me add to this as well, and I don't know if this is widely broadcast because I found out about it on a podcast. AMC has completely decimated their unscripted show lineup. They have killed everything with the exception of Comic Book Men and The Talking Dead.
Oh, you mean as far as reality stuff?
Yeah, the reality show, the quote-unquote unscripted shows,
Right.
or what we call reality TV.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have decimated their entire lineup with the exception of those two.
Yay!
Thank
So
God.
thank God. So that leaves the channel open for things if they are partnering with BBC America now.
Yeah.
That leaves them open to a lot of cross-programming in that direction as well.
Oh,
Where we could see, Doctor Who starting from the the Eccleston reboot.
right.
Or maybe even Doctor Who going even further back.
Yeah, because I know that it's Retro TV, which is
Right.
one of these nostalgia shows, which Chicago doesn't get, is actually showing Classic Who weeknights. And the interesting thing is the Classic Who reruns are the remastered versions of what's been out on DVD. So old Doctor Who episodes, usually it's either crappy video or crappy 16mm film.
Yeah.
So I think, and I know BBC tends to, the classic stuff tends to be in like another department, so to speak. But I think that'd be a great way to, if AMC is getting rid of their unscripted shows, and they've gotten this deal, so it's not like BBC America is going to start changing its programming necessarily, but I think there's a really good opportunity to kind of build a different kind of audience with, because BBC has a lot of good vintage material in the vaults that would be perfect for AMC.
Yeah, I think so. And it would allow AMC to get back to its roots, because I think what a lot of people have forgotten that AMC initially stood for American Movie Classic.
Yeah. Oh,
It was supposed to be vintage stuff. It's not supposed to be, extreme couponing and how much can I eat in one sitting and, stuff like that. It's supposed to be, stuff with some history to it and some intelligence to it. And, they went completely the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see them winding that back now.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll have to keep what do you say there, guys?
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think we've gone at length about all this stuff. The movie stuff took a lot longer than I thought, so I think we'll just skip what we were going to do for a topic. You guys think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, save it for another. I mean, it's a good topic. Save it for another week. But
yeah, definitely.
Skip it.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll just start wrapping things up here. There was one other tiny little news thing I wanted to mention because I just saw it. Terminator Genesis. Have you guys heard about this?
Yes.
It's the next. I think we actually talked about it briefly when they announced it. I think maybe Gordon. But it's obviously another sequel, but it's featuring Sarah Connor when she's a kid. I think.
Yeah, well, it's going to be.
It's the kind of movie.
Yeah, I know it's going off track. It's a reimagining. That's the way they're describing it.
Yeah,
if anybody listening wants to know more about it, it's the cover feature in Entertainment Weekly this week on the newsstand. So,
and be sure you're sober when you read this.
Yeah. Which does star John Amelia Clark from Game of Thrones.
Oh, I mean, it's fantastic, the casting.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry, after that whole thing we went through with Krypton just now.
Yeah, I know.
It feels like The Adventures of Terminator as a boy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, I know.
It's a little boy robot comes after little girl Sarah Connor.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to leave it on that note. So,
okay.
With that, we will go around the table and see what everybody has coming out, and going on. Gordon, what you got?
Okay. Well, currently I am working on the Chicago TARDIS charity auction. Chicago TARDIS is the largest Doctor Who convention in the Midwest and the second largest in the country. We will be auctioning items for the Northern Illinois Food Bank, which services Lombard and the surrounding suburbs. If you're interested in donating, send me an email to auction@chicagotardis.com or head to chicagotardis.com, click on charity auction. There's a link to the sign-up sheet. So feel free to drop me a line. Also, I have a short story, Tall Pulp, short story called Crossing McCausland in Prosay Productions' Tall Pulp Anthology. You can buy it as a trade paperback or a Kindle file. And I recently completed doing editing duties for a really cool Airship 27 book, but I'll let Ron talk about that.
All right. Ron.
Hey,
Yeah, Ron, talk
okay.
about
Gordon's going to blindside me with this now because I'm trying to think of, because we've actually released 4 books in the last 4 weeks. And Gordon was a part of all that. And I believe Gordon's talking about the new Robin Hood book.
Yes.
Which is extremely well written by British writer I.A. Watson. And it's a collection of Robin Hood short stories and essays. And Ian's definitely one of the finest writers and authorities on that, legend, those characters. So if you like Robin Hood a great deal, I suggest you pick this up. It's called Robin Hood Forbidden Legend, and it's available at Amazon again in hard copy and on Kindle. And it's pretty much what, the latest book we've got out, my children's book, Jamie and the Fish-Eyed Goggles, is also available at Amazon in both formats, and it's getting all kinds of great reviews. I think we're up to like 10 5-star reviews on it. It's moving up in the sale charts on Amazon. I'm really, really happy about it. So check that out, please. And the only thing I really wanted to say this week is last weekend I was at the Rocky Mountain Con where I got to hang around with artist Chad Hardin, who does Harlequin for DC Comics. Chad's a great guy, an old friend. It was great to finally meet him and had a ball with him, and also met Mike Dorman, the artist on my Black Bat Domino Lady comic series for Moonstone. And again, a really, really fine gentleman. Wacky sense of humor. We had a blast. The show was for charity, the Aurora Rise Foundation that helps victims of the Aurora movie house shooting. And all kudos and credits go to Mr. Tim Moret, who put the show on. It was like 10 times bigger than last year. Way to go, Tim. And that's what I got, guys.
Awesome. Very cool. And John?
Let's see. What am I doing? Nothing. I got nothing. No, that's from the story. I have a few things, actually. I'm still currently coloring New Comic Day. For my own personal stuff, I am on sketch 7 of the 365 sketches I planned for the year. I've found that within my life, doing it daily just doesn't happen, so I'm gonna not hold myself to that criteria, but, 365 may take 385 days to do, but I am going to hold myself to that criteria because I, too, have 2 children's books already written that I very much want to get out there in the world. And barring some artist who really, really wants to collaborate with me, and who is gonna, stick with me the whole way through and not drift off into the periphery, I'm gonna have to do them myself. So, I want to get my art chops back up where they need to be before I venture into those, because I personally think they're both really cool stories and I want to get them out there. Speaking of really cool stories, I also am going to be working in the new year on the Woman in Red comic. I've got all the concepts worked out. I've got the first arc worked out in my head. It's just a matter of finding those moments in the day to put it into this little glowing, shiny electronic box that's in front of me. And speaking of the electronic box, comic related. If people have been paying attention, comic related's been changing. You may not have noticed, but it has. Comic related's been changing quite a bit between Brant, Chuck, and I. It's not the comic related you may remember anymore. It's become a quite different form of comic related. So I encourage you to go check it out every day. There's different kind of stuff. It's going to continue changing and evolving, and at least internally we're developing the phrase that if you think you know comic related, you know nothing at all. So I definitely encourage people to go check that out every day and marvel at the changes.
Okay, cool. And, sorry, dog was on my lap and jumped out.
I was about to say, and you broke a cat.
No, as for me, not too much for me personally, that I'm going to talk about this week. Excuse me. But I did want to mention something Zone 4 related that only half of the people on this podcast right now know what I'm going to say. So that's interesting. But
it's always fun.
It is fun. It is fun keeping things from people and unleashing it live on the air. But no. No, the 300th episode of Zone 4 is coming up very soon. It is airing on December 19th. So that tells you how soon we're getting to it. And, we are still talking about and planning what we're going to actually do for the episode. A lot of things we'll be revealing leading up to the episode, and, as we figure out what we're doing ourselves. But one thing I did want to say is that after the 300th episode...
Krypton explodes.
Well, that too.
Sorry.
The TV show and everything. No, Zone 4 is purposely ending our weekly streak, and we are taking a break for the holidays.
Yay!
So there will be no episode during the weeks of Christmas or New Year's, and during that time we will be discussing the future of Zone 4, and we'll let you know what happens in January. So
If we come back.
and also I will also tease this. Something is going to happen involving the Zone 4 transmissions from Zone 4 robot on the 300th episode.
Yay!
So
That shiny little bastard.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
So you'll just have to tune in to see what we have cooked up for him and all the other stuff we have planned upcoming that, like I said, we'll talk about on the show leading up to it. So that's really all. So I guess that's going to wrap us up for episode 293, which we never said which episode this was, so there you go. John, take us out.
I blame it on whoever wrote the script for this episode.
Yes. It's all Gordon's fault.
It's
That's easy.
Yeah, that's the easy way to do it.
Yeah, it's always my fault.
It's always your fault. In case you haven't noticed, I'm vamping because I don't have the thing up. So,
interesting choice of words there.
Thank you. Or as I should be putting it, we would like to thank the official bands of... Oh, crap. Hang on. Let me start over.
What was that?
Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Now I have it. We would like to thank the official bands of Zone 4. The Ray Wall Band. Or should I say, the Ray Blood Band. And Society's Flag. I like a band named after a plague that you hear on the show each and every week. That's right, you heard me, week. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions, like I should never do a Count Dracula thing again, send those to Zone 4 at comicrelated.com. Spell that, I dare you. You can listen to us each and every week on Comic Related. Zone4podcast.com. Comic Frontline. Or is that Comic Deadline? Stitcher and iTunes. We are proud members of the Comic Related Podcast Network. And as always, thank you for listening. You are now leaving my coffin. Oh, I mean Zone 4.
That was the weirdest combination of Arnold Schwarzenegger and the
Thank
Count
you.
from Sesame Street I've ever heard in my life.
That was kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Count, a really, really bad Boris Karloff, and an even worse Bela Lugosi.
Oh,
This episode of Zone 4 has been brought to you by the number 4.
there
Yes.
you go. All right.
We'll be back.
Zone 4
Hey!
has been brought to you by the number 4, Crazy Larry's Airship Emporium.
Crazy Eddie.
Or Crazy Eddie, like I remember that far back. And speaking...
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yes, happy Halloween.
Yes, never give an
Goodbye,
Elvira an
everybody.
even break.
Send us your candy.
Yes, but not the one with razor blades in it.
Please. No.
Another chance to stick it more deeply in your heart. That's when the Joker starts to tamper with your mind.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.
Honk!